Federal officials make meth bust likely largest in U.S. history at Otay Mesa border crossing. Weighing more than 5,525 pounds of meth in the actual semi trailer, packed in with actual plastic goods that were being imported from Mexico in boxes. And in the front actual cabin, the sleep area of the semi, there was 127 pounds of actual fentanyl. So I'm going to break down the steps that got him to where he was caught. So he actually picked up this actual trailer from an actual import company, import export. So he imported actually plastic goods to this actual broker, which the broker actually manifests the actual weight and the actual product description um, for it to be crossed. And these actual companies will take care of all the logistics for you. That way, if you have any kind of trademark or copyright, violations, they'll actually flag it before you actually lose it to actual customs. And basically, it's easier to go through an actual company to accommodate your actual importation of goods from Mexico to the U.S. So this actual individual presents his actual manifest, the paperwork, to the actual inspector along with his documents, and answers a few brief questions. Uh, and the inspector will actually type in the invoice number that should already be generated in the actual custom systems as an import. That way, it's much easier. Sometimes these vehicles will get sent without even with no scrutiny, depending on the actual computer selecting this actual any type of inspection. Okay, and the inspections can be a few of them, and I'll mention a few of them. The first one is you actually back up into a dock at the actual cargo facility. They'll ask you to either to unload everything, or they'll actually send canines, or they'll do the inspection. But you most likely will have to take everything out and have to put everything back in yourself, or hire an actual porter to do that for you. And it takes time, you'll be there for some hours sometimes. Another one will actually be just to go into a general area, a big staging area, where you can fit up to like 50 trucks at a time, and canines can do their thing along with inspectors on the actual ground to come in and out of these actual trucks. Some of them might be even empty, so it just makes it easier to do 50 trucks and then just send them forward instead of doing one at a time. So they'll have a staging area for that. Or you can be sent over to actual X-ray. Now, X-ray can be pretty hectic. You have a lot of trucks that are waiting there to be actually X-rayed. You have actually it's tedious. You have to actually line these trucks up perfect for them to be pulled in via X-ray. Okay, so this actual individual, as he's talking with the inspector on the booth, it could be for numerous things. It could be for the driver, for the truck, for the actual uh, the trailer, or the actual weight that the actual driver will have to be scrutinized even more. So in that fashion, there is such useful equipment that's actually offered. It's actually used by customs, and that could be the actual weight of the actual truck. The manifesto might say that this truck should be this much weight, but if you're over this much weight or under, it could be cause an alert for you to be weighed and for you to be X-rayed. I'm not saying that this happened this time, but 5,000 pounds is a lot to hide. So he got alerted to be sent to the X-ray. Now you have to picture this, okay? I did an illustration for you guys, but these traders have to be lined up, what I can only describe as flag field goals, football field goals. So you have to actually center the actual semi truck along with the trailer to be lined up with an actual uh, toe for your front wheels. So your actual front wheels will be actually mounted on an actual tow spring. That way, it actually drags the actual truck. It pulls the truck through a huge X-ray machine, and it actually comes out the other end of the actual machine, other end of the actual building. It's a huge building too. It's like a big, huge barn or outhouse, you know. And after it's been actually X-rayed, the technicians inside the actual tech room in the actual where the screens are at for the actual X-rays, they will scrutinize, and at this actual time, um, they see anomalies that are not consistent with the plastic goods that are actually being imported, and they see a bunch of blotches and discovered that there's something to be looked at in there, you know. So as soon as this actual trailer leaves the actual X-ray machine, they actually conduct an actual uh, canine canine alerts to it to certain boxes. They open up the boxes and discover the actual contraband. Okay, but let's hold on a minute. Hold on. Now this truck, he crossed at 5:30 p.m. Okay, when they closed the actual port at 6 p.m. It's not a coincidence. They're kind of betting on the fact that these agents want to go home. Nobody wants to actually run the X-ray. The X-ray could even be shut down by this time, you know, and it would take a lot more time to actually reload up the actual X-ray machine to start all over again, and they won't do that. You know, if it's been a slow day, tell you what, they'll shut it down and say it's being worked on, or there's something needs to be maintenance on it, or whatever. But they took a gamble and they sent it, but for their bad luck, that the X-ray machine was actually up. So 5:30 in the afternoon is not by chance, by coincidence. Okay, so they call the K9 over, and the K9 alerts to it. So they actually find an actual box. They tested it. It comes out positive. Okay. Now here's where the story gets kind of suspect. Okay. So now um the actual special agents actually put a tracking device, a GPS, on the actual truck and allow it to leave the actual compound. Like I've always mentioned in other videos, their counter intel is it's remarkable, right? So if you're going to actually run a machine through X-ray that is not actually there's no reason for it. They did not alert with the actual when they're doing these actual staging areas. It didn't. There's nothing. It went straight to X-ray. Then you got canine, and that takes a little bit of time. And then you actually have to test it, open up and test it. That takes a little bit more time. So the people that are actually keeping an eye on this truck, and for this much weight, believe it, somebody's keeping an eye on it. Okay, and somebody's got good visual on this actual operation. Okay, so hey, the gig is up. Why they try to actually do the GPS? I have my reasons, but I'd rather not say them because it's just my opinion. But I believe that this actual driver was actually going to cooperate, so therefore they let him run through the whole thing just to for this actual guy's safety. So he actually leaves the actual compound, parks it in a commercial actual parking where you can actually get some rest there, maybe even get a shower somewhere, get some food, in an actual lot where trucks are actually often uh, parked just to stand by and catch up on your actual paperwork or wait for your further instructions. So he actually left the actual truck with the keys inside the actual hood compartment and walked away. At that time, the agents actually hooked him up. They took him in, and they kind of waited around to see if anybody was going to come pick it up. But after a certain amount of hours, the agents, you're not going to let a vehicle sit there that long. So after a couple hours, I assume that these actual agents say, you know what, nobody's going to show up. The gig is up. So now they transport it back to the actual um, to Otai, the actual cargo, because it's a secure facility. It's secure and it's behind lock and key. So they actually to get to the actual to the cargo area, and they just start uh, going through the actual merchandise and everything. And it turns out they found a big load. A big actual hit. This actually is going to hit somebody hard. And when 127 pounds of fentanyl and over 5,000 pounds of actual pure meth, yeah, that's gonna hit somebody hard. And this could be another scenario too, especially when an individual's running this late. If you're gonna run that late and they don't actually have anybody to actually to inspect your vehicle or to X-ray your vehicle, they will keep it overnight. They will have it. They will keep it under lock and key, and you will be sent on your way. And you have to actually pick it up the next morning and continue your actual voyage. But they won't just let you go because of the fact that hey, uh, there's no time or there's nobody working. And it can happen, and it does happen quite often. But there's also a chance that you have to actually leave your vehicle there until the next business day, I should say, and go forward from there. So this actual individual, he's going to be looking at anywhere from 10 minimum, and with the amount of weight that he actually had, he might even get life, especially for the fentanyl. They're taking that really, really serious, and they're actually prosecuting that very, very hard. And apparently, he admitted that he knew he was bringing something over. I don't know if he knew his specifics, but he knew that he was actually bringing something over and being paid extra to actually run this load across. Okay, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe.